so you see off trail, what? Why? Why can't you just follow the trail, guys? Why do you have to do this and cut the trail? The cutting of stuff like we're going to see today in this, here they cut there too. They come to these places and they see that it's okay. Every group that they ride with, they all cut, they all go off trail. They're basically motorized use trails in their mind. Even though they're motorized multiple use trails, they're actually, you know, in these concentrated use areas, you seldom see a hiker. And so riders see it as a moto park. Get big like that, the riders bitch to the trail manager, and the trail manager goes out and buys a tractor. The tractor comes in and grades the trail, and everybody's happy that the trail's all nice and smooth. Wider, smoother, faster. Trail system degrades, and the safety of the trail system goes down. So trail goes over here, that's where everybody's going. So the legal trail, people don't ride. They go completely along the fence line, and it should be going right up here. And you'll see right here. So you got a braided trail, a cut line, and at some point the land manager will come in here and block that off. Or, and you can see you got to get up there, another off-route trail. You got to understand, I've ridden since 1965, and I started in, my first trail experience was the Golden Trout Wilderness. Probably in 67, I think it was. Backcountry trails. At that time, the Wilderness Act had just passed in 64. The designation of the Golden Trout Wilderness, I believe, was Jimmy Carter in 1979. So, to say I don't know about open use and being able to ride wherever you want, and not being another, you know, trail braided area here. Whoa, and that looks like the old trail right there. This looks like a cut. It's burned in to look like the... Yeah, see the cut line is... which I'm on, look like the trail because this is where everybody goes. But even I'm off trail now because you can't even see the real trail is right over there. And there's the real trail. And this is another trail braid. But I'm totally familiar with open use designation. I'm totally familiar with being able to build user-created trails, which many of you talk about. On the internet, how you're building trails. Well, if you're building trails today, it requires meetings. It requires you meeting with the Forest Service. It requires you specialist in the district ranger's office to approve of the concept, and then a public process is established where the public is notified of the trail that you plan to build, and then it requires, after the public process and an approval by the deciding officer, which is usually the forest supervisor. More trail cuts there. More trail cuts right up there. The decision maker will decide that the project will move forward with look outside for trail crews, or they seek volunteers to construct the trail. The trail today in a place like California, from the moment that you propose it, assuming you can rally the support within the district ranger's office, grade or off trail freelancing, it takes 10 years, and that's if you start off with good support within the district ranger's office. If you have opposition, chances of it getting off the ground and actually getting built is about zero. The first step is to go into the trainer's office and rally support and to show them why it would be a great trail. And the more issues you can help them mitigate and get the district ranger on your side and the trail staff, if your trail proposal solves issues for that district office, you've got a much better likelihood of getting the trail built. Look at all those hill climbs off in the distance there, off trail. Before I ever rode here, I think the first time I rode here was 4 years ago. This was an open area. There was a big fire quite a while ago, and the area was closed for a period of years. And they came in and decided to make it a concentrated use area. They bladed a lot of these trails, not these, but a lot of trails in this area got bladed. And what was single track became designated 50-inch routes, and then many of the roads are signed and mapped for the side-by-side folks. And the wider 50-inch trails are being poached by the illegal 50-plus inch vehicles, which we're not looking at that right now, and I hope not to get on too many of those routes at all. But I'm bringing this all up because this place used to be a really popular destination in the transition, meaning the high country snow hadn't melted out, but it was kind of in that the snow was off the peaks, but you couldn't go to the high country yet. So you'd move from the desert over here. Guys would come in here and ride after work, but now it's closed until April 15th, which you know, April, May is when you can start to transition into the high country, the lowest trails in the high country. And this place starts to get hot. So anyways, this had been an open use area, and so there was a whole network of really good single track, from what I have learned from the locals that used to ride this area. But you know, the trail tractor came in and graded a significant number of the single tracks into, you know, 50-inch or wider, which increases the trail speed, decreases the safety for the moto guy, and changes the whole user experience. And it also dumbs down the trail system to the lowest common denominator. Okay, the dad with the kid on the 50. You know, family riding is awesome, but the idea that backcountry single track riding, the trails need to be dumbed down so you can ride with your kid on the 50, I don't get it. I think you know, you should teach your kid to ride and then bring them to the mountains. But the Forest Service screwed all that up because they made it pretty much illegal for unlicensed riders to ride roads. Well, that was the best place, a Forest Service ML2 level 2 road. You ride with your kid on the 50, he gains the skills, and then you venture onto a trail. So now you can't do that legally. That's how I learned to ride. I spent hours and hours and days and weeks riding Forest Service roads on a Yamaha Trail 80, and gained a lot of experience and was able to graduate to a trail and ride into the Golden Trout Wilderness, which was just known as the Kern River, and the Little Kern, and what was it? Trout Meadows or something like Kennedy Meadows. I can't even remember all those names. Grasshopper Creek, Rattlesnake Creek from the bottom of Kern Flats. Anyways, I was 7 years old. I'm trying to remember all these names of trails of my youth. And I can't even go back to those trails because many of them are in the wilderness today. And man, what a mess this is. So, as you can see, it becomes rutted, and then the land manager wants to look at wet weather closures or seasonal closures because the trail gets braided. That's called a braid there. You get all these different lines, guys trying to see out of the rut, because it's not on a sustainable alignment climbing this hill. And that's why it's so important not to cut switchbacks and climbing turns and go straight up the hill, because any trail that goes straight up the hill like this is completely unsustainable. And so then the first line gets used, it gets rutted, guys move to another line, that gets used, it gets rutted, and then you have this mess. Okay, and this is a pain in the neck to come in here and rehabilitate. And so land managers generally are pretty lazy. They don't like to come out and do this kind of work, and it's expensive to get your trail crew out here. It's a big work project to fix all this. So since they're lazy, they tend to look at closing a trail first and mitigation second. Okay, so my whole my rhetoric about responsible use, staying on the trail, is don't allow your trail system to come like this. If you're the local club, you see this, you should have a priority list. And whatever the worst spot is in the areas that you help, then that should be at the top of the priority list to do a club project. You don't have to fix them all in 1 year, but every year you should want to knock out whatever the worst spot is in your trail system. And of course you want to work with the land manager, get their trail crew and do a coordinated work project and come out here and fix this stuff. One bad spot at a time, so that it doesn't degrade to the point where the land manager just says, we'll close it.